Hi everyone and welcome back to the Women Who Hunt podcast. I'm Carly and I'm so glad you're here. This podcast is all about shining a light on women's voices in hunting. The stories, the lessons, the challenges, and the triumphs that don't always get told. And of course, it's proudly supported by Gun Traders Australia, your online hub for buying and selling firearms and hunting gear. Today's episode is a little different because it's just you and me. No guest, no interview, just me sharing one of my own hunting stories. Before I get to the hunt itself, I want to take you back just a bit because my journey with deer didn't start in the paddocks or on a property. To understand why this hunt mattered so much to me, I need to take you back to where it really began. The very first time I ever saw a deer in the wild, I wasn't hunting at the time. I was in my 20s, out fishing one of our favourite freshwater lakes. The sun was just rising, mist curling over the water when I saw movement across the lake. Deer, swimming gracefully, their silhouettes glowing in the morning light. It was majestic, almost mystical. They seemed like creatures out of another world. Little did I know back then what a vital role they would play in my future. Fast forward to 2024 at a hunting property near Gympie called Happy Valley. I wasn't the shooter yet. I was still behind the camera filming Glenn and Ethan when they both took their first red deer. I remember the pride I felt watching them succeed, capturing every moment through the lens. Not long after that, I was filming again, this time with Lawson from Nature's Perks, guiding Glenn. Another red deer taken cleanly, another hunt where I was the storyteller and not the hunter. Those moments were powerful. They gave me a front row seat to success, but I wasn't the one pulling the trigger. I didn't realise it at the time, but those hunts were shifting something inside of me. And of course, the groundwork for all of this had started much earlier, back when Ethan decided he wanted to start shooting. So he and I went and got our licenses together. And then by early the next year, we were spending nearly every weekend at the range. Me with my Lithgow 6.5 Creedmoor, Ethan with his 22 or his 223. Those sessions gave us the basics. Confidence handling a rifle, steady breathing, knowing how to line up and squeeze off a shot. It was Ethan and me, side by side, being guided by Glenn. He had the experience and he had the patience with us, showing us how to build good habits right from the start. It was those quiet weekends on the range that gave me the foundation I would later lean on once I finally stepped into the field. 2025, and this is where my story really begins. Heading out with Lawson from Nature's Perks, I was no longer in the back seat with the camera. I was in the front, with my Tikka in my lap. Glenn and Ethan in the back. Glenn had his 270, just in case, and Ethan had the camera gear. Lawson pulled up suddenly and looked through the window. I followed his gaze. 5 red hinds. My heart leapt, but it was too late. They glided down the mountain like clouds on the breeze, and then they were gone. That was my first real taste of it, being in the hot seat, rifle ready, feeling my heart race, and then watching the chance slip away. It lit a fire in me. I went to bed that night excited, but also full of questions. What if tomorrow is the day? The next morning, we were out again. Lawson spotted 2 hinds. I crept in carefully, but when we got there, all that remained was the grass where they'd been bedded down. Still warm, but empty. That was even harder. They'd been right there, but we were just a few minutes too late. It taught me something big though. In the bush, timing is everything. Miss it by even a moment and the chance is gone. By then, I knew this was building towards something. I just didn't know how soon that moment would come. We headed back to camp and had some breakfast, and Lawson got a phone call. It was the farmer. Owena had broken her leg getting onto the transporter, and he needed our help to put her down. Oi, Carly, you're with me, Lawson said. We've got to go. Jump in. When we got to the pens, I could hear her before I saw her. She was in distress. We walked up. I lined her up. My world went silent. It was just me and her. One clean shot and she was down. My first animal. Not a rabbit, not a fox. A cow. That weaner changed everything for me though. My first shot, my first clean kill, my first time shouldering the responsibility of putting an animal down. It wasn't a deer, but it was a line crossed. From observer to hunter, I guess. And it meant that when Jessie, Lawson's business partner, arrived, I wasn't just along for the ride anymore. I was ready. So Jessie arrived later that day after we had field dressed the weaner. And once he'd settled in, we were making plans for the morning. With Lawson, I'd had near misses. With the weaner, I'd proven I could pull the trigger. But with Jessie, this was it, my first real chance at deer. I could feel the weight of it before dawn even broke. My heart knew something was coming. The next morning, Jessie led us into the hills. It was beautiful. The dawn was just breaking. Golden light spilling through the trees. The air was cool and heavy, with the smell of wet earth and eucalyptus. And then I saw them. Deer. Not shadows, not shapes I'd imagined and convinced myself that they were deer. Real deer. 2 does and a spiker, standing on the hill in front of a patch of lantana. My chest tightened. My heart started to pound so hard I'm sure Jessie could hear it. We stopped the car. I was slow to get myself sorted. And that's when I realised I didn't have my shooting stick. I'd have to make do. I'd have to find a tree or something solid. Those lost seconds contemplating my next move cost me dearly. By the time I was ready to move, the deer had already melted away. We walked up to the crest of that ridge, glassed a bit. It was absolutely beautiful up there. And we headed back to the car. We'd seen them at least. It wasn't over though. Later that day, we headed back out. It was about 3:30 in the afternoon. I spotted 2 deer on the ridge out of Jessie's window. This time everything was perfect. I was ready. We eased out of the car in silence and began the stalk. To me, it felt like the longest stalk of my life. Every few metres, I'd glance up. Yep, still there. At 300 metres, I thought, no, too far. I need to be closer. 200 metres? No, still not quite. We were creeping carefully between lantana outcrops, using each patch of cover to stay hidden. Step by slow step, closing the gap. I knew if we could make it to the next outcrop, the one just ahead, it'd be the perfect spot to set up. But between where we were and where we needed to be, the weather turned. I didn't feel the first raindrops hit me. I was so focused. But then the skies opened up and heavy rain poured down, drenching us in seconds. The deer lifted their heads, alert, and in an instant they were gone, slipped into the thick bush before I was even close enough to set up for the shot. We made our way back to camp under headlight that evening, soaked through, full of thoughts. The silence between us saying it all. Another chance stolen by the bush. You might think I felt defeated, but I didn't. Because every stalk taught me something. How to move quieter, how to trust the wind, how to read the wind, how to calm my breathing when my heart was pounding. Hunting, it isn't just about the harvest. It's about the journey, the build-up, the near misses, the lessons you carry forward. That day, I didn't come home with venison. I came home with so much more. I came home sharper, hungrier, more determined than ever. And that's the thing, every hunt adds to your story. Sometimes you fill the freezer, sometimes you don't, but you always, always come away with a story. So that's my story of the deer that got away. If you've ever had a hunt slip through your fingers, the kind that leaves you equally parts frustrated and inspired, I'd love to hear it. Connect with me on our socials at Women Who Hunt on Facebook and Instagram and share your story. Please subscribe or follow whatever we do in podcast land so you don't miss future episodes. We've got some incredible conversations with women in hunting coming up soon. And a huge thank you to Gun Traders Australia for supporting this podcast, and to Nature's Perks for being such a big part of my own hunting journey. Until next time, stay patient, stay present, and remember, the hunt isn't just about the harvest, it's about the moments that make your heart stop. Thank you so much for listening, and look forward to the next time.